So I'm here with Scott Boilard. He's one of the artists in the Perfectionist show at the Davis Publications Art Gallery. So one of the first things I want to talk to you, the title of the show is Perfectionists. Mm-hmm. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your process of art making.
It's really experimental. You know, when of course, the end product, you know, I work on it till it's a level that I like. I can always recognize when it gets to a point where maybe I'm getting a little too obsessive about it, so I try to kind of recognize that and stop when it's starting to kind of lose that freshness, where it's still, you know, it still has a rough edge to it. It's still, it's still kind of sketchy, but it says everything, shows everything I want to show. As for the process, it's really kind of experimental. It's in some ways every picture is a little bit different because I'm always trying something different, whether it be technique or just an idea or a motif or something like that. So it's kind of an ongoing process. As for technical things, I mean, I usually start with the sketches, not always refined to perfected sketches, but rough sketches that I then bring to the canvas. Sometimes if I have something that's comes out really great in sketch form, I'll do a transfer onto canvas. Otherwise, I'll just kind of redraw it with paint, you know, with the brush from my rough sketch onto the canvas, and then refine it from there and make changes as it goes along.
One of the things I noticed about your work is there's a lot of what appears to be a lot of narrative in the images. Is that an idea you actively explore? Like, is there a narrative behind some of them that's an idea in your head, or?
Well, I guess it's a subconscious narrative.
Right.
I don't always work with, okay, this is an idea, this is what I want to express, so what symbolism or what characters are going to portray that. I usually don't do that. It kind of is like a stream of consciousness that I kind of arrive at the subject. I mean, I like to work with an established narrative. I mean, my education was in illustration, with a minor in fine arts. So I know how to do that, but moving away from illustration, I kind of like the freedom of not knowing where it's going to go.
Right.
So, they very much look kind of illustration-like and have that kind of narrative, but it's mostly purely subconscious. I mean, if I always knew what it was going to mean or only painted what I knew it meant, then I'd be neglecting too many good ideas.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point. I was also going to ask you a little bit about your background. I mean, the background in illustration makes a lot of sense. But what else is part of your history of becoming an artist or part of your background?
Well, I've drawn all my life. I'm born and raised in Worcester, and I always drew. My parents weren't artists, but they were very encouraging. So here and there, they would take me to a museum or anything, but I really got my education through things like illustration and comics and art like that. And this is before I even really knew what illustration was or graphic design. So I went to college in Boston. Again, not knowing what I was going to do, I just knew I wanted to learn how to paint and be a painter. And then when I got there, I realized all my influences were illustration guys. Right. So I went into illustration, but being in school, I learned art history and learned about the fine arts, and especially got a love for 20th century abstract expressionism, late 19th century symbolism, things like that. And what I do today is kind of a mixture of those two. Where it's representational, but I find ways to do kind of abstract things and not sacrifice the rendering part of it. Right. So I did that. I went to a 4-year school in Boston and got out of school and did freelance illustration for a little while. And really, for what I was doing, I really wasn't enjoying it as much as I thought I would, because I had, I guess, learned more about the fine arts and was really more into that. So a few years after college, I decided I just wanted to do my own paintings and do my own work. But I still do design. I work for a company where I'm doing graphic art. But for my own time, for my own thing, it's my own ideas and my own creations.
Okay, great. So for a final question, what advice would you give a young artist or someone who's just learning about art and trying to figure out what they're going to do?
Trying to find their own voice? Or,
yeah, just any advice for someone who wants to be an artist, feels strongly about it, but isn't quite sure what to do next or where to go.
Well, to start, I mean, it's about getting your work out there. So, I mean, find shows where you can have them. You know, whether it be something like the gallery we're at, or apply to submissions for open submissions. I mean, show in your local area. I mean, there's plenty of places, clubs or cafes that will show art. And the idea is just to get it out there, so people can see it. I mean, in this city, my way in was through Start on the Street. I used to work at C.C. Lowell, the art supply store in Park Ave.
Okay.
So I met a lot of people through there, and got involved with Start on the Street, and I've been showing at that every year. And through that, I get to meet a lot of people, especially Howard Johnson and Brian Devasian, and I met through there, and they always gave me good advice. And it's really about getting out there and people seeing you and seeing your work. And then habitually, you have to do it every day. I mean, if you want to be an artist, you want to be good, you have to paint every day, or draw every day, or be creating whatever you're doing, is photography, whatever. You have to do it every day. Now, I don't paint every day, but I draw every day.
Right.
I mean, I keep a sketchbook near me at all times, so I can always jot down an idea. Or if I just get free time, that's a good way to, to mull over ideas. And everything that I paint doesn't come from just right from the painting. It always started somewhere in the sketchbook.
Right.
So yeah, you got to do it every day. You have to really be devoted to it and make it part of your life every day.
Okay, great.
Right.
Well, thank you so much. Thanks for taking time out for the interview.
Thank you.